Hey, it's Brooke and Jeffrey in the morning.
You can scroll it later, or better, you can listen live to Brooke and Jeffrey every weekday morning. Big fun, real moments, the laughs that make your day. Your station, your city, right now. That's called radio. In Seattle, that's called Moving 92.5.
Hey, welcome to the Mother's Justice Show here on KKNW. Today is February 9th. And I am Chukundi Salisbury, filling in for the great Reverend Harriet Walden, who is unable to join us once again, but we are keeping her in our prayers. So life is good. And so, first of all, if you're not following us, make sure you follow us on socials. Facebook is Mothers for Police Accountability, and Instagram is MFPA for Mothers for Police Accountability, MFPA SEA. So make sure you're following us on socials, and we love to hear back from you. So today's show, I am welcoming another amazing guest, a person who has been working in community and working to provide for us for many years. Most certainly not a stranger to the show, and has done a lot with Reverend Walden over the years. And represents an amazing organization locally, A. Philip Randolph. And if you don't know that organization, you need to learn your history, because most certainly they've been working on the rights of, on behalf of the rights of workers, and specifically Black people, for many years now. So welcome to the show, my friend Gabriel Prawl. How are you doing, Gabe?
I'm doing fine. Thank you, Brother Chukundi, for inviting me to your show. And I just want to say that it's always been a pleasure to be part of putting some information into the show. And I've done it for many years with Mother Walden, who has been a great member, a long-time member of APRI Randolph Institute Seattle chapter.
Indeed. So, I mentioned this in the lead-in, but A. Philip Randolph is a national workers' rights and organizing, supporting labor. Can you tell us just a little bit about A. Philip Randolph and the work that you guys have been doing locally here in Seattle?
So I just want to let people understand that A. Philip Randolph Institute is a labor and community organization. So we work and we are the bridge to the community from labor. So it's a Black trade unionist-led organization, but anybody can be part of the A. Philip Randolph Institute. And A. Philip Randolph, after the 1964 Act and the 1965 Voting Rights Act and the 1964 Civil Rights Act, A. Philip Randolph know he needed to do something to keep our community and our people informed and up to date on what's going on, and even help in improve what's going on in our community. So that's when him and Byron Rustin created the A. Philip Randolph Institute back in 1965. We've been running since then, making a difference in our community and being part of making the connection between our community and labor. A. Philip Randolph, go ahead.
No, I love A. Philip Randolph. I don't know if you knew this about me, but, A. Philip Randolph was also a member of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity, which is the fraternity I'm a part of as well. And so one of the things we learned at an early age is some of the work that he most certainly did to help, like, as you mentioned, bridge the labor and community. So, yeah, it's a great organization, and I'm very proud. I've actually been a part of the Tacoma and the Seattle chapter. Philip Randolph.
Yeah, we got to spread out. We can. If you're doing the work, you're gonna be part of everything.
Yeah,
because you're doing the work, right? And that's what the important is that we all have our responsibility to do the work and put our part of influence in making this world a better place to live. And that's the real goal that I Philip Randolph, Dr. King vision, having a place where we can strive for excellence and thrive and succeed, and it takes a fight each and every time as a generation change. We got to continue to work because as we know, this is a nonstop work that we have to do, tireless work, I should say. And that's why I'm so excited of knowing your mom,
Yeah, yeah. So we praying for Mama. You know, most certainly, I would just say that A. Philip Randolph, as well as other great civil rights leaders. Mama believes in the work and showed and proved, right. And so many years she's been a part of A. Philip Randolph and down at the Labor Temple and worked at the office and all of those things and helped organize events because it's important. I think that in a lot of people, one of the things, Gabriel, and we'll get to African American Legislative Day in just a moment, but one of the things that I think a lot of people in community don't understand is that even with labor unions, oftentimes Black people need to stick together and fight within those unions for the rights that they're supposed to have, right? Like, and so, I think many people just say, oh, yeah, the union is great and everything's going to be okay because they're fighting for everybody. But then amongst that, sometimes, we most certainly need to make sure that Black workers are also represented within the representation.
And you hit right on the thing. That's why our A. Philip Randolph Institute exists, because we understand when A. Philip Randolph was the first organizer to open the door for Black people in the AFL-CIO, which is the largest organization in labor, and it's the whole A. Philip Randolph Institute is the oldest constituency group. But we didn't just let Black people in the door. They have to kick the door open. And that's what we have to continue to do in the labor movement, is to kick the door open to make sure Blacks can be able to join those unions, because we understand the fact that unions, that's the open door for opportunity for people to get a good living, health care, and all these good benefit a person and a family to live a better life in this country. So it's important that we are part of union. It's important that we are at the door, we are included. But we have to continue to fight to make sure that happens. It doesn't just happen. Because
I brought that up to folks. I talked a lot about that during my campaign. As you remember, you supported me when I was running for office in 2020. Because as a person who has worked, alongside leaders at A. Philip Randolph and been a volunteer with you guys, along with my mother for many years, and knowing the plight sometimes of Black union workers, during my campaign, I would always, talk about that, is that I most certainly support the work of unions. We know that we wouldn't have the some of the great things that we fought for, like the 8-hour workday and all these other things that unions have brought forth for Americans, for the workers, if you will. But at the same time, we know again, that oftentimes people of color, and specifically Black people, are not doing as well, even if they are in the union, right? And so I would bring that up in some of my endorsement meetings. I said, well, what are we doing for Black workers? And they would look at me so funny, because I think, like I said, I think a lot of people just check the box and assume that everything's going to be okay just because you are in the union, if you will. And most certainly there's a lot of great rights with that. But as you said, we got to continue that fight and make sure that we have equity for Black workers as well as everyone else in the union as we continue to represent workers. So, I applaud you for the work that you and your wife, Vanessa, are doing, along with many of the others who are working inside A. Philip Randolph here in Seattle and across the country. So I know we got African American Legislative Day coming up.
Yes. So I just want to make people understand that we at A. Philip Randolph, we have a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So all our members volunteer, not for profit.
Yeah.
And now people need to know that. This is workers that take their time to volunteer to give back to the community, take their time to volunteer to educate the community, take their time to share information with the community. So that's the different of many organizations that you got out there, the A. Philip Randolph is nobody gets paid. It's our volunteer giving back to our community, strengthening our community, and making an impact to make our community thrive. And those are the things that happen and that's why we lead all the way up to African American Legislative Day. And people need to understand, we don't only do African American Legislative Day, but at the holidays, at Christmas, we are partnered with Toys for Tots. We're giving out toys. And in Thanksgiving, we are giving out turkeys. In the summertime, back to school supply. We are reaching out to young people in our BSU and being active, reaching out to the young people, I should say. Young people.
Mm-hmm.
I try to get them educated, whether you are high school, elementary, or even college. You want all young people to be educated so they can thrive to become active in our community and future leaders in our community. But
I've seen some of that. Most certainly I saw some of the work around Thanksgiving and being a part of the food distributions and the like. So that's very important in our community. One of the things I wasn't aware of, and I applaud, is that, the see that A. Philip Randolph is engaging with the Black student unions at these high schools. That's great, man. We need that kind of work to, especially when we have this erasure of history where they taking stuff off of websites, they taking books out of libraries, they taking monuments down in this administration. So it's up to us and groups like A. Philip Randolph and other volunteers to make sure that we tell our story and pass that along to young people. We cannot leave it up to teachers and others in the internet to educate our young people.
And you're correct, because they say the education starts at home, and we are the community at home. We are the home. So we have to make sure that we spread the information to our young people and make sure that they get the opportunity to thrive. And so on President's Day, we've been doing it for over 20 years. On President's Day, we convene an event at the Capitol, the Columbia Room, and that event is focused on educating and sharing information to our community and even our working people. Because sometimes everybody talk about union, but not our workers are part of union, and majority of the workers are not part of union. So we have to make sure that they get the information that they have not received or not aware of. But the governor is going to be there on the 16th.
Well, you know what, Gabe? So that's good. We're going to talk about that right after this break. We're going to take a commercial break, y'all. But when we come back, we're going to talk about African American Legislative Day coming up on February 16th, Monday, February 16th. In Olympia at the Capitol. Got a lot of great things planned, and Gabe is going to talk about those when we come back after the break. This is the Mother's Justice Show, and my name is Chukundi Salisbury, filling in for Reverend Harriet Walden. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Looking for media that truly represents us? Converge Media is where culture meets truth. Seattle's leading Black-owned media network, bringing you powerful stories, local news, and conversations that matter. From the morning update show to groundbreaking community coverage, Converge shines a light on the voices that shape our city, our leaders, our artists, our families. Stay informed, stay inspired, stay connected at whereweconverge.com. That's whereweconverge.com. Converge Media, telling our stories, our way.
Alternative Talk 1150, online at 1150kknw.com.
Welcome back to the Mother's Justice Show. This is Chukundi Salisbury, filling in for Reverend Harriet Walden here on KKNW 1150 AM. Today, we're talking with Gabriel Prawl, who represents the A. Philip Randolph chapter here in Seattle, Washington. And in this segment, we're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming African American Legislative Day on February 16th, that Monday, President's Day, and at the state capitol in Olympia in the Columbia Room. This is an event that has been going on for over 20 years. And I know that Philip Randall and Gabriel have been a integral part about it. We have the governor showing up and lots of great things. So my guest, Gabriel, tell us more about African American Legislative Day, Gabe, and why it's important for us to show up.
First, I'm going to start the importance for us to show up. The importance for us to show up is to get the information, to be connected with the people that can share information, so we can able to be well informed of what's going on in our state, in our city, and in the country. And it's not effort at trying to work on any political stuff, but the issue is about volunteering and serving the community. And that's the importance of what the Philip Randolph does. We serve the community, we serve labor, and we keep each other informed, because if we're not informing our community, then we'll be left out from any advancement or program that might benefit our community. One of the things that I want to share that we'll be having a bus leaving on the 16 in the morning. The bus leave at 8 a.m. For 25th and Jackson, right? By Greater we have a church located right now.
Greater Mount Baker with Pastor Devers. Yeah, those are my people.
The bus is always pulled up there. It will be pulling up there every year, and then it will be trouble. And at least at 8 o'clock, it will be traveling. I'm picking up young people at Federal High School. Federal High School. My wife has been an APRI leader and has been in that local Federal High School since 2005, serving the young, working with the BSU young people at that high school. So she has been instrumental in bringing those kids together and up to Olympia. Last year we had about 70 kids last year, and we're looking forward to have even more than that this year. But the fact remains that it's important that we share that information with our young people. One of the things that we do at Legislative Day, we inform people of the bills that are on the table, like our priority bills. Those are important for people to know what are the priority bills that are going to affect them. One of the things that APRI has focused, not only locally but nationally, is 340B. 340B is a HAT bill. They're bringing it under HB 2145. And what 340B is supposed it's been around for about 30 years, and it's supposed to help lower the cost of prescription for low income and underrepresented community. And we found out that that's not what's happening. Large, big hospital are profiting of it. Some of them are paying $1 for the prescription, and they're selling it to patients all the way up to $3,000, depending on what kind of medication it is. And right now, that bill 2145 House bill, and I don't have the Senate bill right in front of me right now, but it's intended to expand that program. But what we need to make sure our community know to demand from the as constituents that they elected official or the representative from the district do not support that bill until it's being transparent, until it does what it's supposed to do. We save the patients money and prescription and health costs. And until that happens, we need to make sure that bill does not move forward, because it's only profiting more the billionaires who owns those hospital, and even those chain pharmacy who works in partnership with them. So our community need to know that. We need to know that. We need to know if you're paying high cost for a prescription, this is why it's happening. So we need to be behind this thing. This is the things that Philip Randolph does. Inform our community, make them get them update on what's going on around them, so they can be well informed and able to make sure that they support those that support the things that are going to benefit them in the future and their family, especially our young people.
Right. Yeah, no doubt, man. And so, it's really important. I mean, I think that, oftentimes, I think a lot of people in community don't understand that the ability to help sway this legislation, right? And just showing up and talking to legislators or registering pro or con, it really, because politicians are here to represent the will of the people. And oftentimes, if we don't have the people showing up, we'll have corporations and other people showing up. And we know that corporations, even though they're not really people, by law, they're people. And so if you have corporations lobbying, and they're going to show up and push their side and what they want to see in these bills. And it's up to us. I was on a different show a couple of weeks ago, and I was saying that we just really have to shift the narrative from always saying they need to do something to we need to do something. So this is a perfect example here at African American Legislative Day where regular people can show up, right? We got the bus going from the central area right there on 25th and Jackson. This is free. It's free to go. In the past, they've served lunch. You guys serving lunch again this year?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And I just want to make things clear, so people understand. APRI is not a lobbying organization. We are volunteers, and we volunteer to make sure that we inform our community and inform our working people. So I don't want people to confuse when we use the word lobbying.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Listen.
We are activists. That's the exact word I want to use about APRI. Maybe activist member in our community, sharing information, engaging in community development and advancement of our young people.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I guess what's important here is to realize that volunteer organizations like A. Philip Randolph and others and just regular people are needed to show up and speak on legislation and how we would like to have things, because if we don't show up, lobbyists, paid people, do show up, and they say that, they want this for community, that for community. And oftentimes they're saying what the people who are paying them want them to say. We're going down here and saying what real people want, people that are volunteers and who are coming to speak on behalf of themselves and their neighbors. So this is the call, right? We're asking people. So Gabriel, how can people, do people need to sign up to get on the bus? How can they get involved with African American Legislative Day and be able to get on the bus at 8 a.m. on Monday, February 16th at Greater Mount Baker Baptist Church in Seattle, Washington? How can they register or make sure that they have a seat on the bus to go to down to Olympia?
So I want people to know that you don't have to be a lobbyist to do the work. You just got to show up and represent your community, show up and represent labor. That's what makes the difference in our community. We engage in being activists, and APRI is a nonpartisan, so we invite both sides. We don't just focus on. We want people to be informed of everything on both sides. So we're not keeping people from being engaged, but because we do want people to be engaged. That's the way you get the information.
Yeah.
We want people to show up. We'll be having a full day starting from 10:30 to about 3 o'clock. But if you need to get on the bus, contact at APRISeattle.com. You can reach APRI through our contact number. That's our email. Contact.
Okay, so to be clear, people who are interested in RSVPing to get on the bus, they can send an email to contact@APRISeattle.com, and that's how you RSVP to get on the bus on February 16th. Is that correct?
So Chukundi, let me clarify myself. That's our contact information. To get connected and get the information, you just go on APRISeattle.org.
Oh, .org. Okay.
for more information on the website. That's our website where you can get more information on what steps you need to do to get all the information. APRISeattle.org. And that you'll be able to pull up.
Okay, great. So we'll ask people to go to the website. So if you don't want to catch the bus, you most certainly can just join. The event starts at 10 a.m. At the Columbia Room at the Washington State Capitol on February 16th. Okay, and so 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Be prepared to come and spend the day with other organizations such as, obviously Mothers is involved. Here you have the Washington State District Council, APRI Seattle, Leona, Fred Meyer, there's all type, MLK Labor. So a lot of folks are involved. And we really want to fill up that Columbia Room and let the governor and others know to hear our voices. There'll be some workshops that we're inviting young people to participate in actively. There'll be discussions with other state officials so we can seize opportunities to to add our voice around key issues. So again, this is the 21st annual Charles Rowland African American Legislative Day, and it's on Monday, February 16th, 2026 at the Columbia Room at the Washington State Capitol, and we're starting at 10 a.m. And again, if you're coming from Seattle, Washington, and you would like to hop on the bus, which leaves from Greater Mount Baker Baptist Church on 25th and Jackson, that bus will be leaving at 8 a.m., right? So we can go stop and pick people up along the way and be there in Olympia, ready to start at 10 a.m. So this is African American Legislative Day. It's going to be a great time. We are advocating, building communities, and standing up for change. I want to thank you, Gabe, for coming on the show today, man, and informing us. And we hope to see you down at Legislative Day on the 16th.
Hey, and I want people to understand that when we have community partners that we've been part of working together for many, many years, as we've been doing, like Africa Town Land Trust and Equity in King County Equity now. Our community partners with stakeholders and a lot of the things that are happening in this state and in this city. So,
all right.
So we share.
Well, listen, I appreciate you, Gabe. So that's our time for this segment right now. And again, you're listening to the Mother's Justice Show here on KKNW 1150. My name is Chukundi Salisbury, filling in for Reverend Harriet Walden. Thank you for listening. And we'll see you on the other side.
Hey, y'all. It's time we take care of what's ours. The Black Legacy Homeowners Hub is now open at the McKinney Center, a safe space to learn, connect, and protect our family homes. Whether you're fixing up your house, passing it down, or just trying to hold on, we've got real people, real help, and real answers waiting for you. So come on by. Drop in between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. at the McKinney Center on 21st and Jackson. Let's keep our legacy strong, together.
Alternative Talk 1150, here to uplift your day.
Hey, welcome back to the Mother's Justice Show. This is Chukundi Salisbury filling in for Reverend Harriet Walden, who is not able to be here with us again today, but we are keeping her in our prayers. This is the Mother's Justice Show here on KKNW. And if you're not familiar with Mothers for Police Accountability, please follow us on our socials. On Facebook, it's Mothers for Police Accountability. And on Instagram, it's MFPASEA. That's Mothers for Police Accountability, Seattle. And so again, follow us on our socials. And please feel free to join the conversation. I want to thank my previous guest in the last segment, Gabriel Prawl, and the good work that A. Philip Randolph is doing. And if you missed that part, we are going to African American Legislative Day for the 20th time here on the bus here on February 16th. So join us in Olympia on February 16th at the Capitol building. and at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., where we'll have not only many of our local politicians, but the governor will also be there. And this is an opportunity for us to engage with our policymakers, lawmakers, and others from across the region, but also from across the state. So we'll have young people there, students, especially from Federal Way High School, as well as individuals, older individuals. I know I will be there with multiple hats on, if you will. Of course, as Gabriel mentioned, we will be talking about many of the things that are important to the A. Philip Randolph legislative team, but we'll also be there. I'll be there representing Black legacy homeowners, where we'll be talking about frameworks and potential legislation to protect our legacy homeowners and work on anti-displacement, right? We know that most certainly the homelessness and renter rights are most certainly paramount in the politics of Seattle and beyond. However, anti-displacement is just as important, right? As we seek to allow people to age in the homes that they worked for and enjoy the pensions that they deserve, right? So that's a whole body of work that we'll be doing with the Black legacy homeowners. But I really wanted to hop on here for a minute and talk about the additional. Excuse me, sorry about that. I wanted to talk about some of the things that we at Mothers will be looking into at African American Legislative Day this year. And a few weeks ago, I did have folks on from the Washington Coalition for Police Accountability. So I wanted to revisit some of those priorities. After all, this is the Mothers Justice Show. And so one of the priorities that we have for the Washington Coalition for Police Accountability, and all of these, again, if you are tapping in and you want more information about what I'm talking about right now, you can make sure to log on to WCFORPA.org. And again, that's the Washington Coalition for Police Accountability. And I just wanted to tap in around some of the priorities that organization has this year. The first one is most certainly something that we need in Washington State, especially with the retreat of the Justice Department and the recent lack of wanting to put in consent decrees across America. It's important for our state to be able to have the authority to investigate for patterns and practices. So Senate Bill 5066 and House Bill 1056, they would empower the Attorney General to investigate agencies with alleged patterns of civil and constitutional rights violations. And why that's important, we've heard this story many times before, like it's just an isolated incident. This just happened at one time. But these obviously these things add up, right? And this would give the authority to be able to say, hey, you know what? We've heard that there's a pattern or practice here, so we want to investigate that. So shout out to our Nick Brown, who is our Attorney General, and this would be great to get that in. And so, what this is, again, it would grant authority to the state attorney general to perform investigations of agencies where there is an alleged pattern. Oftentimes alleged means, we in the community, in the accountability space have noticed a pattern, and we're elevating that to our attorney general. But an alleged pattern and practice of violating the civil and constitutional rights of a person. And this is more important than ever as we see, ICE in our communities, violating the civil and constitutional rights of people daily, right? So this state level authority will promote a basic level of quality policing across the state, right? And again, I think, unlike some others, right, I most certainly believe that we need the police. We want to be, we want to work with a community-centered police department that leads with equity, and most certainly uses lethal force and those types of things, and as a last resort. And we just want to be treated fairly and equitably. And we know that doesn't happen in our community. That's why Mothers for Police Accountability was started, if you don't know the story, right? So the second bill that we want to talk about that we'll be covering and speaking on and really watching in Olympia this year at African American Legislative Day is body-worn cameras. This is House Bill 2644, right? And this is a bill requiring officers to use a body-worn camera throughout an encounter, right? And so we see many departments across the state. Some of our more progressive departments are, if you could say that, are most certainly have body cameras. They're releasing that footage in a timely manner and trying to do it in a transparent way with community. And then we have, the opposite of that. We have departments that, even though body-worn cameras are fairly cheap now, there is a lack of body cameras. Also, we have where you have officers in departments that do have body-worn cameras, and they routinely turn them off and on, right, as they see fit. And my understanding of House Bill 2644 is that this bill will require officers to leave that camera on throughout an encounter, right? So there is nothing left to chance. I think that this next one is super important, obviously, with ICE in our communities and the things that they're doing. House Bill 2173, that's House Bill 2173, and Senate Bill 5855 focuses on officers being reasonably identifiable while performing duties, right? So obviously, we've seen masked folks, running in and picking people up in unmarked vehicles. We've all seen that. We've seen it come to our state, and quite frankly, it's a problem. And so this, this bill will set state law that all officers will be reasonably identified, which means, the facial covering prohibition, right? So no more face masks. Even though there are some officers that, that want to do that, we want them to be reasonably identified, right? And that also means their name and their information, right? Because, there's been times where you have officers that have, tape over their badge, right? And so we just want to be able to identify the person we're dealing with or the person who is in our community, right? So this is a really important one, I think, just for anxiety's sake as well, just making sure that we know who is in our community and who's, who we're interacting with. So the next bill, is Senate Bill 6002 and House Bill 2332. And this bill addresses surveillance and mass data collection risks, right? And what this means is, excuse me, that public agencies throughout Washington are increasingly using automated license plate readers, right? We've all seen it. That's the ticket machine. If you're going through when you go through a red light camera, or if you're speeding near a school, these cameras can scan and store your license plate, right? That's how they know that you were speeding. We also use these license plate readers, along I-5 and 167 and other places where we have tolls, right? Like the good to go on the, the floating bridges and the tunnel downtown. So all of those facilities use these ALPRs, right, which again are automated license plate readers. So this right here would make it so these agencies cannot use that data and share that data and store it to where they can be shared with federal law enforcement across the without our consent, right? So that's a really important bill. So these are some of the legislative priorities. And again, I'd like you to visit WCFORPA.org and see these bills for yourself. And more importantly, as we ramp up for African American Legislative Day, ask yourself, what bills do you want to see? What changes do you want to see in your community? Because engagement is not just, typing things on Facebook. It's about really getting out and talking to legislators and demanding change. This is Chukundi Salisbury, and we'll be right back here on the Mother's Justice Show. Thanks for tuning in.
When our children aren't safe, none of us can rest. Mothers for Police Accountability has been standing on the front lines for decades, demanding justice, truth, and transparency in Seattle. But we can't do it alone. We need you, parents, students, neighbors, to join us. Volunteer, speak up, be part of the movement that keeps our communities safe and our voices heard. Visit mothersforpoliceaccountability.org. That's mothersforpoliceaccountability.org. And stand with the mothers who never stop fighting for what's right. Mothers for Police Accountability. Love in action for justice.
Welcome back to the Mother's Justice Show. This is Chukundi Salisbury filling in for Reverend Harriet Walden. And you're listening to us here on KKNW. Special shout out to the Seahawks for winning that Super Bowl. So proud. This is our second Super Bowl trophy here in the city. And I just wanted to mention that. How can you be here in Seattle and not mention that today? This is huge for us. So shout out to the Seahawks. So while that is most certainly a thing to rejoice in, the Super Bowl win, I want to talk about something that is not so joyful right now in this segment here on the Mother's Justice Show. I'm calling it too many tears when our teens don't make it home. As a parent, confronting gun violence in Seattle, right? So, let's confront something that no parent wants to talk about, yet here it is, and again in our city, the loss of young lives to gun violence. Last week, a couple weeks ago here now, two teens were shot and killed at a bus stop on South Henderson Street near Rainier Avenue South, just steps from Rainier Beach High School and South Shore Pre-K. And unfortunately, it's not the first time that this has happened. For context, why this means so much to me, obviously, a lot of these always mean a lot to me, and they take their toll on me, honestly. But this one, as soon as this happened, I thought about my son, and when he was at South Shore, And he used to think I was just the worst dad. I was just so mean. And, why am I all in his business? He was, I believe this is when he was in the 7th and 8th grade. And I would literally tell him he cannot walk anywhere. Okay. So if you're familiar with the area, one of the things he used to want to do after school was walk from South Shore, which is right there on, Rainier and Henderson, just up to the Rainier Beach Library, which is literally like 2 blocks. And I would not let him. I'd say, wait right there. I'm on my way. And I would take him to the library. This was in 7th grade. And then I remember in 7th grade, he wanted to walk to the McDonald's in Rainier Beach with his friends. And they would go to McDonald's after school or lunch. And I would just say, no, you can't go. And he thought I was so mean. Then he wanted to catch the train home, right? And obviously the train, the Henderson station is right down there. So you would walk down Henderson Street to the light rail. And, you'd only catch it like one stop up to Othello, right? But it was kind of, a whole, preteen freedom thing. And I would not let him do that. And this is why, right? And I would point out to him that while he's a great kid, it's just, a stray bullet has no name, as Mama would say. And so it's every parent's worst nightmare to get a call. And we all fear that, especially parents of Black and brown children here and across the country. So, just picture that, kids walking to a bus stop and never getting home, right? And we have school zones for a reason, right? They should be a safe space, safe for our kids, right? We ask people to slow down and all of that. I was talking to my brother Toon after it happened, and he was on his way to go someplace and he forgot. He drove down Henderson. And just the memorial with the chalk messages and the reminders of, that these were real lives and real futures that were just cut short. And so while that is most certainly the paramount issue and something that is just, a tearjerker, if you will, where the anger, comes in is there's no arrest. Right. And so repeatedly, we've had Michelle Reese on this call. Right. So I do want to shout out the SPD detectives for helping to find her son's murder. Right. But there's so many murderers in our community walking around because we hear once again, no arrest. No arrest reported. Like, how can there be so many cameras and so much going on and we don't have any arrests? And this kind of makes me think of one of the shows we did a while back where we were talking about the cameras around Garfield, right? And you have all of these people that came out to testify, we don't need any cameras. It's an infringement on our rights, and this is Big Brother, and those cameras could be shared with ICE, and all of those things are true. But I don't see none of your kids dying. And honestly, the parents I talk to, the parents whose kids have been murdered, they would like cameras, right? So, I know that that's in the minority, right? And in Seattle, because the majority community, their kids aren't likely to be murdered, right? So this is most certainly Black and brown children are most likely to be murdered here in Seattle and in the area, right? Auburn, Xavier was murdered out in Auburn, and so there's just all types of it's just a tragedy, right? So we know that this is, it's not an isolated incident. I just talked about, Xavier and Ahmad and, Seattle, other Seattle Black teens have been killed or wounded, near schools. And it's just, it's just terrible. We've had Garfield, Southwest Seattle over in the Teen Life Center. And it's just underscoring a persistent crisis in youth gun violence, right? So, one of the things that that I was kind of, taken aback with, as soon as this happened, I think the new mayor was back east or somewhere traveling as mayors do. And of course, people in our community are like, where's the mayor at? What's the mayor going to do? And I'm, as a person that's been in and around politics and, I've led the African American advisory to the chief. I've been on all sides of these equations. I've been the person who's led the memorial, like I did for Tyrone Love and others. And my real question for community is, what do you think the mayor can or should do? Literally, like, what power do you think the mayor has to stop our kids? These are Black kids killing other Black kids. And you expect the white mayor to do what? Really, right? Yes, most certainly the mayor can authorize additional resources. We have lots of resources. We've been hired. They just hired 168 or whatever new police officers, right? But I guess that's the thing, right? When we could have been advocating, Black people, for, more cameras and more surveillance and other things like this, spot shotter and things that will help us identify guns in our community. We weren't down at city council. And we weren't lobbying for these things. So I guess I'm just wondering, what do people think that the mayor can do? But in my opinion, this really lands at our feet, right? It is somebody that we know whose child did that, right? This is kids killing kids. And so I think parents need to know, does your kid have a gun, right? And I think other parents, we've seen this with Xavier and other kids. Everybody's a good kid. Ahmad, right? And the issue here with me, you said Connor was a great kid. And what happens is, it seems to me, we have parents who are really focused on making sure that their kid is safe, like me, right? Remember, I said I was taking my son 2 blocks to the library, right? But really, it's not those kids, right? And so I guess the real thing is, who's going to pour into the child that is not getting that support? In my opinion, these are some of the young people that grow up and do these kinds of things. And so one of the things we talk about at 100 Black Parents, I learned this at the National Parent Union convention a few years ago, is this concept that there is no such thing as other people's children, right? And I think we as a community have to really come together and say, what do we have to bring to the table? Most certainly, we can hold law enforcement accountable. We can ask the mayor to bring additional resources. But what can we do as individuals, right? This isn't just a law enforcement issue, right? Youth gun violence is drawn by all of these complex problems, right? You got mental health and disinvestment. You have young people not being able to read in the 4th and 5th grade, and that frustration. I know people that are framing this as a mental health crisis, a public health crisis, right? Where we need, meaning that we need, prevention, intervention, and healing prior to the shooting, not just after the fact, right? The response. So we most certainly know how to respond. We had a rally, we've called for accountability, and I've just done it too many times. And I want to see us make some changes. And I think that some of that accountability starts with us. And so I'm going to be advocating for, additional lighting and cameras. I know everybody, a lot of Seattleites don't want to hear that, but I want to hear it, right? I'm going to be advocating for more mental health, after school programs, mentoring. This is the path, in my opinion. Let me know what you think on our socials. You can always reach me, at any of the DMs. This is Chukundi Salisbury, and I'm filling in for the Reverend Harriet Walden here on the Mother's Justice Show. I want to thank you for listening today and tuning in. We'll see you next time. Thank you.